You know you have to hire people in order to grow your business. Everyone around you seems to be doing it. People keep telling you, hey, you have to hire people. But it's not easy, and it never seems to get any easier. So how do you know when is the right time to be hiring someone to grow your business? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ollie Richards, and Creator Smarts is all about helping successful, established creators grow strong, stable, 7-figure businesses so they can reclaim their time, enjoy life, and make more of an impact on the world. And hiring is one of those things that, unfortunately, you do have to do in order to grow a business that can actually operate without you, because hey, if you're not involved, then who else is going to do it? Hiring, I know it's something you've thought about before. Chances are you already have a small team working around you. I've hired dozens and dozens of people in my business, so I'm going to try and tell you some of the things that I've learned here over the last many years about hiring, so that you can make the right decision at the right time for you. So the thing about hiring is that we all have lots of doubts. Before you become a kind of an accomplished hirer, you have all these doubts in your mind about bringing on new people. You know that delegating tasks is important, right? You know that hiring is something that everybody does, but in general, the kind of doubts that you're going to have are, well, I'm not totally clear on what role I need to hire for in my business right now, or maybe I kind of know who I need to hire, but I don't really see a clear return on investment. So should I still do it? Often at the beginning, it's just this kind of murky thinking around hiring that makes it just a lot easier not to do it. Shunt the problem off until next year or whatever, and then just carry on as you are. But of course, that's what makes hiring so difficult, because if you do just push the problem down the road, then all that happens is you build up to a point where you are so stressed about not being able to kind of hold down everything that you've got going on that it ends up affecting you mentally. So if you are at a 6-figure stage in your business, then you probably already do have a skeleton team. You might have a VA, someone who manages your email, some customer support. You probably work with designers, website people. You may have someone doing social media. You might even have a small army of teachers or trainers or materials writers, perhaps, depending on the nature of your business. And most likely, most of these people are part-time. You might have a team of 5 to 10 people kind of all working on different part-time basis. And that's pretty common, pretty standard. The question is where to go next. So in my case, because I've spent a lot of time learning about business, and I always wanted to learn about online business, I always took the view that the more I learn and train myself, the better chance I'm going to have at succeeding. And so in my particular case, as I was growing story learning, I got really good at copywriting. So I studied copywriting in depth. I got very good at writing emails and sales pages and things like that. And so naturally, whenever it came time to write an email sequence to launch a product or write a sales page, hey, it was me that did it, and I actually really enjoyed it as well. But then a few years back, I think it was 2018, we had 3 or 4 new products that we launched during that year, and we'd been working on them for a year prior to that. It was really exciting. It was what really kind of kickstarted that phase of growth of the business, but it was also really exhausting because I just had to write email sequence after email sequence, sales page after sales page, and it got to the point where, even though it was kind of the thing that I considered I was best at, I was just starting not to enjoy it. The dilemma I had specifically was, hey, I'm not enjoying this anymore, but it is the thing that's bringing in the money. And so that was a difficult decision, because I knew I couldn't stop doing it because then the money wouldn't be coming in, but I also kind of felt this deep need deep down. Either was it here or was it here? I can't quite remember. I felt like I've got to get away from this. This is just not sustainable. And if that feeling of needing to move away from something sounds familiar, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, because there's going to be a lot more like this. So there was something very specific that I did, and it wasn't right away that I did this, but I kind of figured it out over the course of the next 6 months to a year. And essentially what I did in this situation was I listed out all the components that were necessary for a successful launch, everything from creating the product to writing the sales page to writing the emails, really a real detailed spec, everything that had to be done in order to launch a product. And then I took the time to create templates for all of these things. So what is the template of a sales page? What is the template of an email sequence? Like, what emails do we need? What's the basic purpose of those emails? Got those templates together to the point where then I could have someone on my team actually learn to create the finished products based on those templates. So they could write a sales page based on the templates that we already had. They could create a good email sequence based on the templates that we had. And then so someone on my team then kind of stepped up and took the responsibility to execute on that. And the reason they were able to do it was because I had put this time in to create these templates and standard procedures for all of these things. It took quite a bit of time to get that in place, but that got us to the point where now we are releasing 5 new products every single month, and I'm not involved in any single point of that product creation, because we've got it to a point where it's so well systematized and there are people who own every step of it. So this was this situation. I kind of went from this real pain and dilemma and confusion around what I was doing to actually having a really, really great outcome. And I think the most common feeling that I see among successful creators is this idea of, well, I can't stop doing this because this is my speciality. Only I can do that. Only I can do this. No one else will be able to do that. And you might feel this around, well, no one else can make videos. It's only me because I'm the face of the channel or whatever. Or, well, I have to create these courses or these challenges because people want to hear from me, or these emails have to be in my voice. Do you recognize any of these feelings? Trust me, I've struggled with every single one of these. One of the interesting things I've learned is that, like it or not, you are replaceable. And whatever you think is your kind of unique skill in the business, for the business to grow, you can be replaced. It's not necessarily easy, but it can be done. And often these things begin with believing that it can actually be done. Someone else can edit my videos. Someone else can write my emails. And there's a sense in which you have to believe that that's true in order to actually figure out how to do it. But we all suffer from this belief that, okay, it has to be me that does this. But the thing is that, as I always say, business is all about energy, and managing that energy is so key. And this relates very specifically to hiring, and we'll get there. But the reason that business is about energy is because you won't work or continue working on things that you don't like. Conversely, if there's something that you do really enjoy, you will really smash that out of the park, right? And all of this depends on your energy. And so many creators that I know, who I'm friends with, who I mentor, have this, like their business is completely directed by their energy levels. And so I like to think about hiring essentially as the activity of, or the process of systematizing and stabilizing the money-making events in your business. Okay, let me repeat that. Hiring for me at this stage of the game is about systematizing and stabilizing money-making events so that you are not the person who is completely responsible for income coming into the business. There are 3 reasons why this is so important. Reason number 1 for systematizing money-making events, and I guess I should clarify what I mean by that. So a money-making event would be, for example, the email sequences, the promotion that you run every month over email that brings in the money. It is the way that you sell your course to people, the videos or the sales page. Whatever it is in the business that results in generating income. For me, hiring is about systematizing that so it can happen without you. So the first reason is that if you're the only person who is responsible for doing the things that make money, then that is very high risk. Because if you get hit by a bus, what happens? The money stops coming in. Or even if you just, you get sick, or you have a family issue that takes you away from the business then stops making money because you're not able to perform that activity. It's very, very high risk. One person that I work with, it's a very successful blog-based business, but she is totally stuck inside the business in terms of actually doing the things which result in the income coming in. So one of the things we're working on is thinking, okay, how can we start to systematize this so that the money that's coming in can be more reliable and can happen whether or not you're doing these things. It's a massive bottleneck, right? And that's reason number 2. So quite apart from the risk, there's a big bottleneck in the business when you're the only one doing these things. So I told you the story before of how we released all these 3 or 4 products, and how I burnt out because I was the only one doing those, writing the email sequences, writing the sales pages. The bottleneck problem is that yes, you can do it, and yes, you can continue holding it down. And I think most people watching this video will be in that situation where you're kind of holding it together, you're pretty much grinding it out every month. But the trouble is that doesn't leave you any space for forward thinking. And really what you need to be able to do is to create space in your in your week or in your month, or at least once a quarter or something, to actually step back and say, okay, what direction are we going here? Where do we want to get to? What's working, what isn't? And when you're responsible for all of these key things, you never really have the mental space to think about these things, right? So that's reason number 2. Reason number 3 is you simply won't always feel like doing this stuff. You might be really enjoying it now, but that will change in the future. Again, someone that I'm working with right now is really struggling with this issue of actually just not wanting to do the thing which is the key part of their business. And it doesn't make sense because they've been doing this for years, but we burn out on things. And so coming back to business being about energy, your energy will go up and down. There will be times that you don't feel, or you just really can't bring yourself to keep doing these things. And so again, that's the bottleneck. That's the risk of all of these things. So it's a risk for your business. It creates a big bottleneck in your thinking, but also you won't always feel like doing these things. So before you get to a 6-figure level, this doesn't really apply, right? Because the focus of hiring at a sub 6-figure level is all about getting some help so that you can focus on making money, right? So get someone to do your customer service, get a VA so that you can actually focus on bringing in the money. This is where you always hear this kind of, I find it really irritating advice, but it's true, but it's just kind of annoying, which is hire someone at $20 an hour so that you can focus on the $1,000 an hour work, right? It's kind of like often repeated. That's the point of this, right? That's when you need to just create enough space so that you can bring in the money. But once you get to 6 figures, there's a new dynamic going on, which is that if you're not growing your business, then you're dying. Your business is either growing or dying. There's no such thing as standing still. And this is why really the purpose of hiring needs to be to create energy and forward momentum in the business. So much of the time, the main reason that I see people not hiring is because they can't get a clear ROI. They think, okay, I'm going to spend $3,000 a month on this person, but is that really going to bring back $3,000 a month in ROI? And if not, they kind of run a mile. But I think that it's totally valid to hire people and bring people onto your team, even if the ROI is not completely clear and transparent at that point, even if it's just based on a gut intuition. And the reason is that you will learn. You'll learn about hiring, about working with people, about things that can happen in your business without you. And it's such an important learning curve that I do think that if you find yourself procrastinating over hiring people, take the plunge because you're going to learn so much. Once you get above a 7-figure level, this is where the dynamic changes once again, because by this point you have at least 10 people on your team, most likely, and you've got the challenge here of actually managing people, because managing people properly takes time. And so at this point, what you need to do is actually hire, not so much for the kind of executing of the business, but actually hiring it into management positions so that people can actually have the time to manage all the various people who are fulfilling the functions of the business, so that you can stay focused on the bigger picture. But the psychology around all of this, about starting to hire more and more people at different roles, can be quite scary. And if you feel any kind of fear around this, then you should watch this video up in the corner, link it in the description as well, which is all about the psychology of money management and how that's important. At a 7-figure level, the decisions you make are far more important than the labor that you can contribute to the business. Your decisions are more important than time. I remember hearing Mark Zuckerberg talking about how he spends his time, and he says that he basically spends most of his time walking and thinking. And the reason is that what he can contribute with new ideas and providing direction to the business is so much more valuable than him sitting and answering emails for a few hours a day. Although I'm sure he does that as well. So what I would really encourage you to do is to experiment with hiring, even if it's outside your comfort zone, even if you don't think it's quite time yet, because you're going to learn so many lessons that you can't even imagine right now from that process. Also because hiring gets easier. Every time you do it, you're going to make mistakes, but you will learn more, and hiring does get easier, but it never gets any less important. The more your business grows, the more hiring becomes indispensable. So it's worth learning that. Last thing I'll leave you with here is that you don't have to bring people on full time. Remember, there are different ways of bringing on people. You can have someone working 1 day a week on a certain function, or it could be hourly, on an hourly basis, like say 20 hours a week. I'm not a big fan of like hourly paid, so just bill me however many hours you work. It can work. I quite like to have a fixed fixed expectations. It's good for you, it's good for them, creates more stability, I think. So you can have someone say like, hey, 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week. You can also bring people on a project basis. So you can say, right, come and do this for the duration of this project, and then that's it. So you can just sound them out that way. Lots of different ways of doing it. So don't feel that the only way you have to hire people is by bringing them on full time. There are lots of halfway houses that can work really well. But of course, the actual hiring process itself is really important to get right. And so in this video, I walk you through the process that I've used to hire fantastic video editors, which is often a huge pain point for creators in particular. And I'll show you some really key things that you can do to make sure that the hire goes well and that you find the person you need. So click that video over there right now to check that out, and I'll see you back in the next video.